In all, 5 people were killed, including the gunman, while 8 others were injured.
Police authorities believe the gunman, a 40-year-old Michigan man, intentionally set fire to the church.
Families have been walking their dogs, kids riding bikes and scooters.
The suspect used an accelerant of some sort, we believe gasoline, and lit the church on fire.
That fire was set. They said there was an explosive device found.
Nobody saw this coming. A quiet Sunday morning in Michigan turned into absolute chaos when a man drove his truck straight through the doors of a church packed with worshipers. He opened fire. People screamed. Families scrambled for safety. And then, as if the nightmare couldn't get any worse, he set the entire building on fire.
In all, 5 people were killed, including the gunman, while 8 others were injured.
And police say this was no random act. So what really happened inside that Michigan church? And why is the FBI calling this targeted violence? Let's break it down. This all went down at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, a suburban community about an hour northeast of Detroit. The suspect?
Police authorities believe the gunman, a 40-year-old Michigan man, intentionally set fire to the church.
Within just minutes, he turned a peaceful Sunday service into one of the darkest, most horrifying mass shootings the state has seen in recent years. It started at exactly 10:25 a.m.
Families have been walking their dogs, kids riding bikes and scooters.
Then, suddenly, a pickup truck smashed through the front doors of the church. The sound was deafening. Glass shattered. People screamed. Witnesses say Sanford jumped out of the truck, rifle in hand.
Worshippers were inside. Authorities say the shooter in that shooting used an assault rifle.
He didn't hesitate. He started shooting into the crowd. Think about that. No warning, no hesitation, just chaos. And if that wasn't terrifying enough, moments later, flames began ripping through the building.
The suspect used an accelerant of some sort, we believe gasoline, and lit the church on fire.
He wanted the fire to spread fast. It worked. Within minutes, the church had become a 5-alarm blaze. Thick black smoke billowed into the sky. The roof began to cave in. A place meant for prayer and peace had been turned into a war zone. But here's where it gets even more chilling. Police now say explosive devices may have been found at the scene.
That fire was set. They said there was an explosive device found.
So the question becomes, was this attack planned to be even worse than it already was? By the time police received the 911 call, the attack was already underway. But here's what's remarkable. Officers were on scene in under 1 minute. Sanford was still firing when they arrived. A shootout erupted in the parking lot. Gunfire rang out, and just minutes after the attack began, Sanford was killed by police. Inside, though, the damage was already catastrophic. At least 4 people lost their lives that day. 2 died instantly inside the church, another died later at the hospital, and a 4th was found inside the fire-ravaged building. 8 others were rushed to hospitals across the area, some clinging to life. Officials confirmed that 1 child was among the injured. 7 of the victims are stable. 1 remains in critical condition. And here's the heartbreaking part. Investigators say they're still searching through the rubble, fearing they might find even more victims. So the big question is this: why would someone do this? The gunman was identified as Thomas Jacob Sanford, a 40-year-old man from Burton, Michigan, just 8 miles away from the church he attacked. Here's what's come out about him so far.
Thomas Sanford served 4 years in the U.S. Marines and was deployed to Iraq.
He was married. He had a son, a boy born with a rare genetic condition. So, what would drive him to this point? Authorities say they're not ruling out religion, politics, or personal grievances as possible motives, and the timing is suspicious. Just 1 day earlier, Russell M. Nelson, the 101-year-old president of the LDS Church, had passed away. Was Sanford trying to send some kind of twisted message connected to Nelson's death? Investigators say it's too soon to draw conclusions, but here's a detail that has the entire country buzzing. A Trump campaign sign was reportedly spotted outside Sanford's home. So now the speculation is rampant. Was this politically motivated, or was it something darker, something we don't yet understand? As you'd expect, the reactions poured in fast. President Donald Trump was among the first to respond. He called it yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States. He urged Americans to pray for the victims and their families, writing, "This epidemic of violence must end immediately." Vice President J.D. Vance echoed those words, saying the entire administration is closely monitoring the investigation. Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer expressed heartbreak for the Grand Blanc community, saying violence in places of worship is simply unacceptable. And FBI Director Kash Patel didn't mince words either. He called it a cowardly and criminal act in a house of worship. On social media, hashtags like #PrayForMichigan started trending within hours. Video clips of thick smoke rising from the burning church were shared millions of times. The internet exploded with shock, anger, and grief. Some people demanded stronger security for churches. Others focused on gun laws. And still others warned that violence against all faith groups in America is climbing at alarming rates. Here's something most people don't realize. Attacks on religious institutions in the US have been climbing for years. It's not just one faith being targeted. Christian churches, Jewish synagogues, Sikh temples, mosques, all have been attacked. Experts say offenders aren't even distinguishing between religions anymore. It's violence aimed at the very idea of worship itself. So why does this moment matter? Because this wasn't just another shooting. This was a direct assault on a space that was supposed to be safe, a sanctuary, and the fear is spreading. If people can't feel safe at church, synagogue, mosque, or temple, where can they feel safe? This is why law enforcement and security officials have been warning for years that religious institutions need to harden their defenses. But here's the problem. These are supposed to be open doors, spaces where anyone can walk in to pray, to connect, to find peace. And yet, more and more, they're being turned into battlegrounds. That's why the FBI didn't hesitate to call this targeted violence, because it's not just about Michigan. It's about the bigger picture of what's happening in America right now. But here's the twist. Despite all the press conferences, despite all the statements from leaders, we still don't know the real motive behind Sanford's rampage. Was it political? Was it personal? Or was it something even darker? Think about the families who woke up that morning, got dressed, and went to church expecting nothing more than a normal service. Instead, they found themselves in the middle of horror. Parents clutching their children, elderly congregants running through smoke, first responders charging in to pull people out of the flames, the church itself. Officials say it's a total loss, a complete collapse. But for the survivors, and for the families who lost loved ones, the scars will last far longer than the ashes. And yet, the investigation is only just beginning. So here's the question for you. Why do you think attacks on religious spaces are happening more often in America? Is it political? Is it religious? Or something else entirely? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear what you think. And if you want updates on this story, hit that subscribe button right now. Because trust me, this story is far from over.